Okay, we've got the battery disconnected, and what we're going to do is what we've got is a connector connected into the ADB socket, a couple of fly leads out, ground, can high, can low, can high, and that just allows me to be able to clip things on to measure stuff. So what I'm going to do is measure. So what we've got is it's going between can high and can low, and that is the resistance on the can network. What I can do is put it on the tripod. Clip. So that is the resistance between can high and can low. It should be around 60-ish ohms, because there's two 120 ohm resistors in terminating resistors at each end of the can, one in the instrument pack, one in the ABS module. So let's prove the instrument pack terminating resistor and the ABS terminating resistor. So when I disconnect one, it should go to 120, and when I disconnect the other one, plug that one back in, disconnect the other one, that should go up to 120. I wonder what happens if I disconnect both. I haven't tried that yet. Anyway, obviously battery's disconnected, and we're measuring the resistance on the can. So disconnect the instrument pack. And there we go. So the instrument pack disconnected. It goes up to 117. Plug that back in. Back to 60. Let's do the ABS module. ABS module disconnected. That's up to 122. I wonder what happens if I disconnect both. Right, let's disconnect the instrument pack again. Open circuit. Instrument pack back in. 121, 22. Let's plug the ABS module in. And that's back to 60. So that proves that the can backbone is complete all the way from beginning to end. Instrument pack to ABS sensor. Next up we're going to check some voltages. Right, what I'm going to do now is connect the battery. I'm going to measure some voltages, and let's see what we can do. Right, that's the battery on. Ignition is off, and we've got 1.35, 1.36 on the low. If I put this on can high, that one, there we go. We've got 2.4 on can high. Back onto can low. So 1.33 on can low. Let's put the ignition on. Okay, that's up to 2.35 on can low. and 2.61 on can high. A little bit disproportionate, but let's see what happens. Right, so we're back on can low. Right, let's take the key out. The can low is dropping. Let's put it onto can high. So usually it goes down to about 0.44. So can high, 0.66, can low, 0.6. Go back to can high. Can high still on 0.66, 0.67. Can low. What I have noticed is when the parking brake light goes off, when the car goes to sleep and the parking brake light goes off, the can low signal jumps up to 1.37 again. So I've got 0.45 on low, 0.49 on high. Go back to low. So still at 0.45. Right. Let's latch the door. Okay, door's latched. And as soon as the parking brake light goes out, it jumps up to 1.37 again. Now I don't know if that's right. And it will stay like that forever and a day. So while that's reading 1.36, so let's turn that back on. That's going up to 2.35. So if I said, do I start disconnecting modules with the ignition on? Let's disconnect the terrain module and see what happens. Still at 2.35. Let's plug it back in. let me pause that. I just want to check something. Right, so what I'm going to do is disconnect all the modules from the can and then plug one in and see what happens. This will be fun. The only one I'm going to leave plugged in, because obviously I've got the battery connected, the only one I'm going to leave plugged in is the the only one I'm going to leave plugged in is the airbag module, because Christ knows what will happen if I unplug that. So I'm going to go around and unplug everything. So let's start with terrain response module. I've got to leave the instrument cluster and the ABS module plugged in because they've got the terminating resistors in for the can. So that's the terrain response. Air suspension. Right, I might need to move the camera to get to the air suspension. One second. One with the can. Oh, that one. That's the one with the can. Alright. Oh. Stand you back up. Let's put you back there. So that's the air suspension disconnected. Oh. Right. Traction control. Transfer case. So that's terrain response, transfer case, air suspension, electronic parking brake. Okay, that's electronic parking brake. Once I've disconnected electronic parking brake, that's gone up to 1.56. Right. What else runs on the can? I think that's it. Engine ECU. Fast runs on the can. Terrain response, air suspension, parking brake, transfer case, engine ECU. ABS module's got to stay plugged in because that's got a terminating resistor. Instrument pack's got to stay plugged in because that's got a terminating resistor. SRS I'm going to leave plugged in because I don't want to blow myself up. I think that's it. Wonder what happens if I turn the ignition on with all those things disconnected. Oh yeah, all sorts of bells, whistles, bongs and bings and stuff. But the can low voltage is now at 2.43 and the can high is 2.5. Whereas before it was 2.3 something and 2.6. So, is one of those dragging the voltage around? Let's plug the engine module back in and see what happens. Okay, engine module plugged back in. Turn the ignition on. Lots of bings and bongs. And we've got the same voltages as before. So I think that's good. Right, so ignition off. Let's unplug the engine module. Right, and this time I've disconnected the engine module and plugged in the transfer case module. Lots of bings and bongs. 2.43, 2.53, so that seems to be alright. Let's unplug that and plug something else in. Right, let's plug terrain response in. That should be plugged in. Ignition on, see what happens. 2.43. And on the high, 2.53. Okay, that's where it should be. Right, let's unplug the terrain response. Let's plug in the air suspension. I might need to move you again, 1 second. Bring it back in. So, with the air suspension plugged in, 2.43, and on the high, 2.53. Okay, let's turn that off. Let's unplug that again, excuse me. So that's engine, transfer case, EAS, terrain. So it's just electronic parking brake module, is it? Ooh. Right, let's plug that in, see what happens. Okay, that's the electronic parking brake module back in. See the voltage has gone from 2 down to 1.5. So that was when you turn it on. See now can low is only at 2.3 and can high is 2.4. Is there something wrong with the electronic parking brake module? Now we do have another one. Let's turn that off. Disconnect the one that's fitted to the car and connect the one that's just hanging loose. See what happens. How strange. Okay, and this is with a spare EPB module plugged in. .3 and what's that on high? 2.4, and that's with a different module of mechanically, Mechanically it's a bit knackered, but electronically it should be fine. Let's unplug it. See what happens. Disconnected. Okay, that's parking brake module disconnected again. So there's nothing now on the can other than the ABS, the instrument pack and the airbag module. Lots of things don't like everything because everything's all disconnected and everything else. But yeah, we've got 2.43 on the low and 2.53 on the high, which is fine. So let's plug everything back in apart from the electronic parking brake module and see what happens. So, terrain response. I have to move you again. Oh, air suspension. Suspension. Oh. Transfer case. That's engine, transfer case, terrain response, air suspension, ABS, instrument pack. That should be everything apart from the electronic parking brake. Back in. Obviously lots of bings and bongs. We've got 2.43 on the low, 2.53 on the high. Let's plug the electronic parking brake module in and see what happens. parking brake modules back in, and that's dropped the resting can voltage down a bit. Right, plug it in. Everything seems to be, and that's 2.35. I bet you this is 2.6. And 2.6 on the high, and 2.35 on the low. But it's the same with two different electronic parking brake modules. Now, is that correct behaviour? I have no idea. But it's the only thing that changes the voltage readings, is removing the electronic parking brake out of the system. But you get exactly the same readings with two different electronic parking brake modules. So, could it be a short in the wiring? Could it be a short in the wiring to the electronic parking brake module, which is why it happens on two electronic parking brake modules? But again, why would that affect the YAW sensor readings, which is on a completely separate network and is directly connected from the YAW sensor directly to the ABS module? Never the twain shall meet. But everything else checks out fine, apart from when you disconnect the electronic parking brake module. The can voltages change. That's curious. Any ideas, chaps? Any ideas? Let me know. Just remembered. Steering angle sensor. That's one. Oh, I forgot. Let's plug all this back in. So, oh, it's falling off again. Oh, stay on that. Right, yeah, steering angle sensor. Forgot about that one. Right, so let's go around, let's disconnect everything again. So, drain response. I need to disconnect the EAS again. Excuse me. So, that's everything disconnected apart from the steering angle sensor this time. And the voltages are good. That's high, and that's can low. So, steering angle sensor's alright as well then. I'm getting really confused by all this now. And again, why any of that would affect the yaw sensor reading, I don't know, considering it's on a completely separate network to everything else. I don't know. Confused.com. Really am confused.com.